In the mid-2000s, Victoria's Secret was an empire. A brand selling women's intimate clothing was treated as if it were a Hollywood movie, selling the idea to their consumers that if you buy our items, you could be just as beautiful as the women you see walking down the runway. Accept the fact that tons of women throughout the past 2 decades have dealt with severe body issues that were worsened by the image of the Victoria's Secret angels. Some angels who admitted to obtaining their physiques by going against Mother Nature itself. This brand and its fashion shows, commercials, and catalogs were pushing the idea of a fantasy to its customers by sacrificing the health and safety of the models who worked for them. Victoria's Secret also knew what they were doing by playing into the insecurities of the average person shopping in their stores, influencing girls to shrink their waist size along with their wallets. The idea that Victoria's Secret was run by women for women was a lie. The idea that this brand was made to empower women was a lie. The idea that their models were strong and healthy was a lie. And there are many other dark secrets that have recently been revealed to show the truths behind this brand. So this is a topic that I've wanted to cover for quite a while, but considering a new documentary was released on Hulu, Victoria's Secret, Angels and Demons, I've decided now is the time to finally discuss this brand. Now, discussing brands is something that I don't normally do on this channel. We usually cover things relating to the internet in some way, but I think that this is extremely important to discuss for several reasons. Before the extreme popularity of Victoria's Secret began, it was a company created by a man named Roy Raymond, who was tired of being embarrassed while shopping for his wife's lingerie. He wanted to create a company that sold lingerie through catalogs to preserve the privacy for those shopping for it. In 1982, he sold this company to a man named Leslie Wexner, owner of L Brands, who took this company and made it soar into the charts. Years after selling this company to Wexner, though, Raymond took his own life. It has been heavily speculated that this was related to his regrets in business. In the Hulu documentary, they explain how Wexner used this new brand as an opportunity to create a fantasy woman named Victoria, and a story revolving around her to lure in the curiosity of their customers. So, essentially, a faceless, mysterious mascot to draw in the crowds. And boy oh boy was this successful. As the company grew from the late 90s into the early 2000s, the name Victoria's Secret was becoming more and more iconic. Eventually, their models were called the Victoria's Secret Angels. And as the show became more popular, the culture within this brand expanded. It soon became an honor for any Victoria's Secret angel to be able to walk down the runway with wings. It's rumored that the models would compete with one another over the wings that they would wear in the show. The advertising of these fashion shows, the commercials, and the TV specials were very well put together. They had Michael Bay filming some of the commercials for them. They had very popular musicians performing in both the Victoria's Secret fashion show and the swimsuit specials, and towards the end of the fashion show days, they even began including popular celebrity influencers like Kendall Jenner. Towards the end, the brand was getting a lot of heat for not being inclusive to all body types and only focusing on very tall, thin models. One big point of criticism went against a new bra line at the time called The Perfect Body, which obviously shows an underlying message here that speaks for itself. The name was later changed to Body by Victoria due to the backlash it had received. This wasn't the end of their controversy, however, as one of the biggest names behind this brand, Ed Razek, had an explosive interview that tarnished the reputation of the brand itself. This interview pissed a lot of people off, and it put a pretty big dent into Victoria's Secret's business. The interview alone unmasked the company's true ideals and showed the world that they were not willing to include anybody other than very thin women in their shows. But that was only the tip of the iceberg. Becoming a Victoria's Secret angel was a dream to many young girls around the world, but there was a lot of darkness hidden behind the wings and the glamour. Since the fashion show's official cancellation in 2019, some of the models have come out with their experiences being in the show, and it wasn't as beautiful as the brand made it out to be. Former Victoria's Secret angel Bridget Malcom did an interview on 60 Minutes Australia where she explained some of the horrific expectations the company had for her so she wouldn't lose her job. She was advised to take diet pills, which were nicknamed bathwater meth due to how addictive they could possibly be. She was also advised to do hard drugs to help her lose weight. And while being underage, she was also advised to have lots of sex to burn more calories. Worst of all, she said that during the time she was working for Victoria's Secret, she found herself with health complications such as losing her period, having her hair fall out, and having trouble walking up a flight of stairs. The thing is, she wasn't the only angel who was pushed into this lifestyle of extreme dieting for the show. According to People magazine, 9 days prior to the Victoria's Secret fashion show, Adriana Lima would cut out all solid foods and go on a full liquid diet. And then 12 hours prior to the show, she wouldn't drink any liquids at all. I know it's very intense, but I just have an athlete's mind and I appreciate doing this thing. It's not that I do crazy diets throughout the year, I just do it for this particular thing. After the show, I become normal again. This is one of the biggest models for the face of Victoria's Secret, and even she understands that this type of thing isn't normal. But things only get darker from here.
We broke for lunch. I had my plate that I had just eaten off of, and I went up to get more, and Ed stopped me. He stepped in front of me, berating me like, are you really gonna go eat more bread? Do you think you need to eat more bread? Do you think you should eat more bread? He turned to me and he said, I don't know how you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and you're okay with that. I just went to the bathroom and was shaking and crying and just what just happened?
On top of the toxic dieting and exercise regimes this company has pushed onto the models who walked their runway, accusations of SA have stacked up over the years. Victoria's Secret's Ed Razak has been one of the most notorious for receiving sexual harassment allegations, which to this day he still denies. There have been claims that some of the company's employees have been paid to stay silent about their abuse. Others claim that non-disclosure agreements have been signed by models and employees while the brand was at its peak. The most disturbing of this, however, is that, believe it or not, Jeffrey Epstein himself had involvement with Victoria's Secret and the brand's owner, Leslie Wexner. Hulu's documentary goes into a lot of detail about Epstein's involvement with Wexner, and it will obviously share much more detail than what I will be providing today, but trust and believe that this gets very, very disturbing. According to the documentary, one of the creepiest things about this is that Epstein would claim that he worked for Victoria's Secret as a recruiter and that he would tell young women that he would recruit them as models, despite not actually working for the company. This led to one incident where a woman was assaulted by Epstein in a hotel. Wexner and his lawyers adamantly stated that he was only informed of this happening one time, and as soon as he found out, he allegedly told Epstein that what he was doing went against company policy and that he was forbidden to do it again. As the documentary continued, however, more is explained about Wexner and Epstein's relationship, how Leslie gave Jeffrey power of attorney and control of his finances. And at one point, the documentary even implies that Epstein's infamous plane that he used for his trafficking crimes was sold to him by Leslie Wexner himself. The only response given in the documentary was that Wexner had no idea that these crimes were taking place when it all happened. The worst part about all of this is how much Wexner was able to hide his relationship with Epstein from the public, and that we'll never truly know how many people were complicit with this behavior, as well as the traumatizing events that were happening to the women who worked for this brand. Towards the end of the documentary, there was a connection made between Epstein and the nature of the Victoria's Secret fashion show, targeting young girls by including things like children's toys in the outfit designs, such as tricycles, Kinects, and giant lollipops. Given the context they add to their documentary, that does make it appear really creepy. But I do want to add that this does seem to have speculation behind it. From what I understand, there's no concrete evidence that Epstein himself had any say in what was presented in the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and in fact, the majority of his involvement was really lies about being involved in the first place. Again, like lying to young girls, telling them that he was a recruiter for the show when he wasn't, because he knew people like Leslie Wexner. He just seemed to be present for the fashion shows themselves and was very close with the person who owned the brand. So take that information however you want. But I will say, this does come across as pretty inappropriate because you have these outfits being shown in this fashion show that was once labeled the sexiest night on television, and you have them going up and down the catwalk with children's themes. Whether Epstein was involved or not, yeah, that is kind of weird. Especially when it came to the brand Pink. At one point, this was very much marketed to a much younger crowd of girls, many of which were in their early teens. But since the rebranding of Victoria's Secret, they have tried to crack down on this and say, no, this target demographic is college students. We're trying to aim for a college-aged shopper when it comes to Pink. But even just a few years ago, that definitely was a completely different situation. The response from Victoria's Secret to this documentary has been really desperate, in my opinion. 1 week prior to the documentary's trailer being released, Victoria's Secret shared this campaign ad on their social media. Right after the documentary was published, they had this to say in a tweet: "It's no secret, we've made mistakes. We're listening, we're learning, we're changing." And then they provide a link titled "Our Responses, Victoria's Secret & Co." Now, this is going to sound petty at first, but stay with me here and trust me. I wanted to note that the engagement on this tweet is from an account that has over 10 million followers. Anybody who knows social media knows that that is a really big yikes. However, a similar post was made to Instagram, and that seems to have been a little bit more interacted with. At the new Victoria's Secret, we make no excuses for the past. We know that the old Victoria's Secret lost touch with many of you, projected a damaging standard of beauty, and perpetuated a toxic culture. Today, we are proud to be a different company, with a new leadership team and mission to welcome, celebrate, and champion all women. This transformation is a journey, and our work continues to become the Victoria's Secret our customers and associates deserve, where everyone feels seen, respected, and valued. The link shows several tabs that address several different things, but we're just going to cover the docuseries response that reads, "The company featured in this docuseries does not reflect today's Victoria's Secret & Co. When we became a standalone company in August 2021, we set out to regain the trust of our customers, associates, and partners. Today, we are proud to be a different company with a new leadership team and a mission to welcome, celebrate, and champion all women. This transformation is a journey, and our work continues to become the Victoria's Secret our customers and associates deserve, where everyone feels seen, respected, and valued." If you click the link to the VS Now website, it shows a bunch of activism for their rebrand, now called the VS Collective. Now, credit where it's due, I do think there is a lot of inspirational stuff on this page, where they do display lots of inclusivity to all body types, and even including somebody like Sophia Giroux, who is a model with Down syndrome. But this is where a lot of Victoria's Secret's customers are giving a good side-eye to the brand. As I've previously stated, many feel that this is too little, too late. People feel like this change isn't genuine and that it's a desperate attempt at saying, "We're sorry we didn't listen to your request for inclusivity in the past, and that because of that, you stopped giving us money. But we've changed, so you can give us money again." At the same time, however, people would still be upset if they didn't make these changes, so I do ask the question, is there any way they could make this right? My thoughts are, unfortunately, probably not. A lot of people are not buying that this is legitimate. People have lost trust with this brand, with this company, and when a company loses its audience trust, they're not going to reach sales. But another thing is, with this rebrand, they seem to have forgotten the tastes of their primary customer. A lot of people have been saying on social media, be it Instagram, Twitter, what have you, that Victoria's Secret's rebrand has essentially been inclusive equals boring. And a lot of people are not only upset by this idea because inclusive shouldn't be boring, but also they feel like they've been forgotten about. There was a difference between buying a bra from Victoria's Secret and buying a bra from Target or Walmart, and now there doesn't seem to be that difference anymore. When you would go into Victoria's Secret and look at all of the garments they had, look at all the pieces they had to offer, one thing was for certain, you were going to likely get something that made you feel glamorous, that made you feel special, that made you feel like you were going to walk out as if you had bought a new piece of jewelry.
I'd rather be shiny.
They definitely did have a target demographic that this did appeal to, and now they are no longer doing this, losing that demographic of people who went there just for that. Even with their marketing, they used to have Michael Bay shooting their commercials and doing these very creative shoots. I remember one was where everybody was going to this royal estate, and it really sold the idea that you were getting something fancy and special when you shopped at Victoria's Secret. And I don't think you have to sacrifice the glam and the fanciness and the luxurious type of product that you would sell to be all inclusive. In fact, I know you don't have to sacrifice that because Rihanna has essentially just completely replaced Victoria's Secret and taken all of the things that people loved about the brand and made it her own while being all inclusive. In fact, she had even taken some of their biggest models. But let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Do you think that they should just give up the glamorous aesthetic that they once had in an effort to make a true, complete rebrand of this company? And while you're sharing your thoughts with me in the comments, I will now share you my thoughts and my predictions. I think this was the final nail in the coffin for Victoria's Secret. I've learned a lot from this documentary that I had no idea about, and I think a lot of other people did as well. They were not inclusive and have failed so many different times with opportunities to be more inclusive. And now suddenly that they're losing money, they're finally starting to change their ways. I think if all of these new people involved in the Victoria's Secret rebrand were to work together on a completely new brand that expresses their ideas of inclusivity and creativity, it might take a bit longer to gain popularity, but I think it would be much more welcomed. It would feel less desperate for the company and more honest, and I think the brand would have an easier time earning the customer's trust instead of regaining it. Also, 2% of these profits still go to Wexner according to Google. Since his retirement in 2020, his wealth has grown by nearly $2 billion according to Hulu's documentary, which is another really big reason why people don't trust this brand, because we have all of these ambassadors talking about how positive and great these changes are and how there's new people behind it, but Wexner's still low-key getting a little bit of coin from this, even though he's not the face of the brand or really owns the brand anymore. Speaking about how the brand is doing, well, Victoria's Secret stocks have taken a swan dive into the ground as well. Things are not looking good for this brand at all. In an article written on CNN Business, it was reported that over 240 Victoria's Secret stores closed their doors in 2020, with 30 to 50 more stores closing in 2021. On July 12, 2022, news broke that Victoria's Secret laid off 5% of their corporate workforce, or in other terms, 160 people. I personally think that there are a plethora of Les Wexners out there. With today's market, today's companies, today's money, it's nearly impossible to completely avoid spending your money at a place that is owned by a greedy, horrible person, billionaire, that has probably done a lot of really shady things. And I say that to ease the minds of anybody who might feel guilt for ever buying anything from Victoria's Secret, Bath & Body Works, The Limited, or any other brand owned by Leslie Wexner, because half of this stuff wasn't known by most people until the past few years. And to be honest, I have a feeling the day is going to soon come when Victoria's Secret finally closes its doors on all of its stores, and when that inevitable last chance everything must go, we're closing all of our stores sale comes around, I know a lot of people are going to go and buy whatever is left from Victoria's Secret inventory, and I don't blame the people who might have bought or still buy these things for everything that has happened. It's amazing to be socially conscious and wise with what brands you spend your money on, but Jeffrey Epstein's crimes are not the fault of the average person that wants to just buy a pair of underwear from a bra company. It just feels like this weird cycle where big box companies control the consumer with marketing decisions, then one big box company fucks up, in this case several times, so then other big companies swoop in and blame the everyday consumer instead of the company that originally fucked up. We have uncovered that Victoria's Secret has a lot of really dark rabbit holes to it. There are things from Victoria's Secret that I will miss. The glamour, the makeup, the sparkle, the feeling of being luxurious. But all in all, I don't think that that brand is needed to have those things or to feel that way. There's a million other ways you could do that now. So I don't think it's needed anymore. I know we didn't cover a lot about the entire Epstein situation. I don't know if YouTube would be happy with me doing a video on Epstein. I don't know, I have to look into that. I was definitely looking forward to hearing more about the way that this brand has been toxic for its consumers. This really went into a lot of what Epstein had done, but there were a lot of things that I have learned on both ends that I hadn't known prior, and it's very eye-opening. So I highly suggest you check it out in the description below. I will leave the link. And with that being said, thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, and thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting me over on Patreon, especially Lewis, Miss Tanisha, Anthony Tressel, Michelle, and Deemer WM. I think I'm making a few changes to Patreon, just a heads up for anybody in the near future if you are already a patron or if you're considering being one, so keep a lookout for that. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.